Hey guys, welcome to NZ Pocket Guide, New Zealand's largest travel guide. You can find thousands of tips, hidden gems and much more at nzpocketguide.com, so check it out. In the meantime, today I am joined by Kiwibird and we're going to be talking about our favorite travel board games for New Zealand. So let's get started. Before we get started, I just wanted to make sure that you guys know that there is already part 1 of this video up right there if you want to find 10 more travel board games. Yes, they are all different. So that previous video was a few years back. Now we're going to update it with all new games. And let's get started with the first one on our list. It's going to be Wonders Duel. So Laura and I know Kiwibird, but usually I'm traveling mostly with Laura, so don't be too upset. Laura and I have played that game to death, but we mostly have played it at home because we find it a little bit large for a travel board game. However, when traveling around New Zealand, we met a group of travelers which were from Eastern Europe, and it turns out that they were playing this game on the go. They had it all packed in small Ziploc bags and they were traveling around with this. So this couple played this game to death while on the road, so technically it is a travel game. And yes, the cards are quite small, the board is quite small. You could pack it in literally just 2 Ziploc bags. So that's going to be our number 1. And if you don't know what Wonders Duel is, it's basically a civilization game. Build a civilization, either research science or military to gain victory, or just get the most victory point at the end of the game. But everybody knows you've got to go for military. Alright, let's move on to the next game on the list, and that's a bit of a hidden gem. It's called Space Hulk Death Angel. I'm gonna leave that here, hopefully it's gonna stay. Okay, so this game is set in the universe of Warhammer 40,000. It is a fantastic game in which you are exploring a Space Hulk. If you don't know what a Space Hulk is, it's basically a destroyed wreck of a spaceship in space. And that Space Hulk has been infested by aliens, and you and your team of Space Marines have to basically kind of clean it up. It is a cooperative game where you genuinely have to depend on the other players in order to survive. When it's not your turn, you actually have some stake in the game in hoping that they help you survive. There is real tension, it's really hard. However, the theme is a little gruesome, so I wouldn't recommend it for anyone under 15 years old, but it plays up to 6 players and can be packed into a couple of little decks, so it's pretty good. I'm gonna put it that way. Here you go, moving on to the next one. That's a popular one, The Crew. So who knew that a trick-taking game could be turned into a fantastic cooperative experience? Well, apparently the team at Cosmo was able to turn that into a reality. It is a really fantastic game. It's super famous, so I'm pretty sure if you're a gamer, you've heard of it. But otherwise, it is a trick-taking game akin to 500, and you have goals to achieve several missions. And there is about 50 missions throughout the game. So you may have a goal of, this person needs to only get all the purple card, or this person needs to get, the 12 and the 8, or all those kind of things. So you have goal and you all work together cooperatively in order to achieve that mission. If you achieve that mission, just check it into the logbook and move on to the next one. So for a trick-taking game, it is very, very interesting that you end up actually coming back for the story itself, because you want to go all the way to mission 50. And Laura and I have found ourselves going back to that game because we just want to reach that level 50. So it's really fun. Same thing, the box looks a little bit big. I mean, it's not really that big, but inside it's only a handful of very small cards and a couple of tokens, so it's pretty easy. And the tokens are to enable limited communication, so here you go. Alright, moving on to the next game. If you have ever heard of The Legend of Zelda, here is The Legends of Zelda as a board game. It's called Tiny Epic Quest. I absolutely love Tiny Epic Quest for one reason, because it has meeple that you can equip weapons to. That's really awesome. There's little holes in the meeples, and you can add like bows or swords or anything you gather throughout your adventure. Okay, so Tiny Epic Quest does require quite a large area to play. However, it packs in a very small box. So if you're traveling around and may have access to an apartment or hotel or something, you'll be able to set a large scale game out of that tiny little box. In it, you genuinely just play The Legend of Zelda. So you are moving around the map, go on quest, gather items, and at the end of the game, the person with the most points win the game. It is really cute, it plays really well. It is definitely one of our favorite games. So here you go. Boom, we are at 4. Number 5 then, we are talking about Fugitive. It says Fugitive right here. I know the box looks really boring, but it's pretty cool. So this game has real tension right here. One player plays the Marshal, one player plays the Fugitive. So it's only a 2-player game, but within this game, you as the Fugitive need to escape, reach card number 42 all the way to the end, while the Marshal tries to reveal your entire path before you do so. There is genuine tension in this game. Every single time that the Marshal is going to make a guess and record entries on his or her little notepad, you are going to be stressed not knowing if they are right on your heels or not. It is really cool, and at the end of the game there is an extra little chase if you are, if the Marshals are quite far behind. It creates really fun tension. And on top of that, in the age of endless expansions for board games, in it you have a couple of extra modules that you can add or remove in order to either make it easier for the Marshal, easier for the Fugitive, or just to play around with the game settings a little bit, so you have really a ton of replayability. This is a fantastic game. Oh, it's gonna go on here. There's no name on this one. Alright, moving on to Hokkaido. Hokkaido, named after that Japanese region, is a game set in the Honshu universe. So actually after Honshu, if I'm correct. So this game is a city building game. So you're gonna play cards in order to build a city, and depending on which kind of zone you are creating, you're gonna score differently. It's a fantastically tight game. You have a little bit of resource management in there, but all in all, it's such a cool game and such a cool thing to have a city building game in such a small form. Same thing, you can get rid of the box and just pack the few cards. Yeah, very rare to find a city building game in such a small box. Moving on to the next game, we have Days of Merchant. So Days of Merchant is probably one of the cutest game we have right here. I don't know, competing with Tiny Epic Quest, I'm unsure. But in Days of Merchant, you are playing with anima folks. So they are basically animals, people. So there's different races in there, and you are trying to make it into the Merchant Guild. It's a bit of a take that kind of game where you kind of compete with each other to gather more cards, and once you gather more cards, you'll be able to play them in order to reach a certain number, and once you are reaching this number, first you are the one which is indicted in the guild. It's a very easy game to play. In it there is a small cardboard board that you use to play cards on top of it. If you are using this game as a travel game, I will suggest to remove that cardboard box and literally just carry the cards around and maybe the one die for the faction which is creating chaos and that everybody hates. If you play that faction, don't. Alright, moving on to the next game. I have two of those. Boom! This is called Star Realm. There is an expansion, Colony Wars, right here, or actually another game, and the normal Star Realm right here. Boom! I'm gonna place that here. Star Realm is a fantastic deck building game. It's super quick. You can play only at 2 players, but if you add another game, you can play at 4. In it, you are gonna acquire a spaceship and then decide if you're gonna attack your opponent's spaceship or attack their health straight away. And as you're doing so, you are going to try to reduce the health point to 0. It is a really cool confrontational space battle game, and it creates some really fun memories when traveling around when you were that close to win. I do really love Star Realm, and that's why we have 2 of them, 2 different games. Absolutely fantastic. Alright, almost last, but here you go. Coup. We're having Coup, so that's our number 2 on this list. We're close to number 1. Ooh, the reflection right here with the light makes it weird. Anyway, Coup is a fantastic game. There's only a handful of cards. How many cards in there? I think there's only about 15 cards in this game, or 16 cards in this game. And in it, you're basically going to try to gain influence in order to rule the World of Resistance board game. I can't remember the name of that world, but in short, you are gathering tokens of influence, and then you're using those tokens of influence, 7 exactly, in order to coup somebody. You have 2 cards in front of you. When you get coup, you have to flip 1 up. If you have flipped both of them up, you are out of the game. However, you may have an assassin that can coup you with only 8, and no matter what, you can lie about which card you have and what you can do with it. So am I going to call your bluff and risk my own people, or am I going to let you get away with a big fat lie that you are telling me? Well, who knows, Coup makes for a very, very entertaining interactions between players. That are number 2 right here. And for our number 1 travel game, we're having Mint Cooperative right here. So this game from the Mint series, I'm gonna put it all the way on top right here. Here you go. This game from the Mint series is a fantastic game. So there is multiple different type of Mint game, but this one here is basically Pandemic on the box. So there is the city of Minttopia, which is in danger. Things are happening over there and we need superheroes. All the superheroes are mint themed. Don't ask me why. And you are working together in order to put out a lot of different fire. It genuinely fits Pandemic in a tiny little box right here. Makes for great player interactions where you have to work together with your superpower. Asymmetric powers are always a win for me. And you are able to basically get rid of all the threat and clear Minttopia of all the bad things that's happening to it. Alright, so that's 10 more travel board games that you can travel with easily around New Zealand and anywhere in the world. Tell me in the comment if there is any other games you would like me to check out. We do love traveling around with board game. We feel that it helps create fantastic friendships when staying around and meeting new people, and also it helps kill boredom when you are in those very, very, very long airport waiting queues. If you have any questions, put them in the comment below as well. And if you want to reward our hard work, you may want to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you want to know more about traveling in New Zealand. Don't forget to check out NZ Pocket Guide for thousands of articles, hidden gems and much more. And there is a link right on screen either right now or a little bit later or up top somewhere and in the description as well to an article with 20 of our favorite travel board games with links and much more information about each of them. So if your fancy was tickled by any of those, you may want to check that out. In the meantime, keep on traveling awesome. Bye bye!